And it is officially time to start. It's 11 p.m. Italian time. So welcome, guys. We are live from Catania in Sicily. And for the ones that don't know me, I'm Natalie. So we'll have a little live walk, and feel free to use the chat. Ask me any questions. I probably won't know because I'm a tourist. I'm not a professional here, but yeah, feel free to ask me. I'll try. And he lost a finger. Ooh, sorry to hear that, James. What was it through the Second World War? There was some interest. Actually, we might talk about that later on. But there was some interesting action here through the Second World War because the mafia actually helped the Allies to free the island. Anyway, let me flip this camera around and let's go. So we are in. Let me show you the street. So this is Via Etna. So if you went straight up, you'll end up at the volcano. The famous Mount Etna, that is actually in eruption at the moment. I don't have enough time to try to go up on any excursions or any hikes. I don't know how far up you can go anyway. I didn't see any lava from here. I think I might have from the aircraft last night, but I don't know if it was lava. It could have just been a bit of light. I don't know. Anyway, we'll go down towards University Square. But before that, let me show you this beautiful baroque church. Oh, you also adopted an Italian girl. Oh, that's interesting, James. So a beautiful baroque church here. I think it's known as the Collegiata. So you'll see quite a few baroque buildings around here. But for now, let's go down to University Square. And, well, in the University of Catania, there was a professor in 1993. She had a horrible fate. I don't think she worked in that building here. The university is across different parts of town. But her name was Antonella Falsedia. Antonella was a beautiful middle-class lady. She taught at the time, what I understood to be some kind of statistics for medicines at the University of Catania. And one night, a normal December night, like tonight, a Saturday night actually, she lived. We're not gonna go all the way because there's not much to see. I wanna show you the nice stuff. But if you went straight up the street for about 20 minutes and then you took a right, you'll end up on Via Rosso di San Secondo. That's where she lived, in a beautiful flat. And that very night, she was waiting for her husband to come home. Her husband was named Vincenzo Morizzi. He was a cardiologist. Here. Oh no. Let me know when we are back. Hopefully it was just a bad spot. No sound. Okay, I'm not gonna say anything interesting now until you tell me it's back. Am I back? Okay, good. Where was I though? What was I telling you when it cut? Let me know where I was so I can go back exactly at the same time in the story. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Laurie. So her husband was Vincenzo Morecci, known as Enzo. He was a cardiologist in a clinic here. And she was waiting for him to come back when a shadow entered the flat. Probably a shadow she knew because there was no sign of a broken door or anything like that. By the way, this is my hostel. See the window, excuse my finger, just there? That's my bedroom. Well, my dorm. I share with another 8 beds. Quite expensive for a hostel, but there was nothing any cheaper. 25 euros a night. For a dorm, it's quite a lot. Usually it's more like 11 or 12 euros. I'm probably gonna have a complaint for copyright, but I cannot mute you now because we've got a good signal. So let's risk it because you might be able to hear the music. Anyway, let's go. Yes, exactly. Amazing location, Mike. So let's go back to our story. She's someone entered the flat and stabbed her 23 times. She actually died on the sofa there. Minutes later, her husband came back, Vincenzo, and he found a horrible, horrible crime scene. What's the hostel name? It's Ostello degli Elefanti. So Hostel of the Elephant after the fountain. I'll show you in a moment. I'm gonna just try to take you towards the left here to get away from the music as much as I can, but there's not much you can do because some of you might know YouTube is quite strict in terms of copyrights, and when there's a busker on the street, there's nothing I can do, but they might put a claim on me. Anyway. So she's being stabbed. Her husband comes back. He found a horrible crime scene. The police did not have many leads. Well, technically they did. There was a footstep. There was a shoe that stepped into the blood. A lady's shoe, size 36, European size. And into Antonella's hand, there was a hair, a blonde hair. This murder is like Agatha Christie, really. Now, it turned up that the family had some letters of threats. A week earlier, they received a letter. The name with the address was typed with a type machine. But although it was a type machine, it probably was whoever was the author, they probably used somebody's type machine to accuse them. Because the letter inside was actually written with those, when you cut off those little letters from the newspaper to actually write the words. And it said, watch your son. We know all the schedules. High school, scooter, home, Saturday night. So that was very, very suspicious. And they did say Saturday night. That was a week earlier, and she was killed on a Saturday night. We've got the Christmas decorations here, and that was it really. So the police didn't really have much to go with because, they kind of suspected that those evidence or those leads might have been planted. Later on, when they examined the shoe print, it almost looked like it was somebody that brought a shoe with them and just stamped it in the blood. It didn't feel like an actual print once being shown to a professional. And the police didn't have much to go with. They looked at many ladies in Antonella's relations and friends and colleagues. None of the DNA matched the hair that was found in her hands, and the case was almost closed because they didn't. To be honest, they were not used. Here you've got the mafia and stuff, so they're used to crimes. But this type of crimes with people from high society, the guy was a cardiologist and stuff. They just didn't know where else to investigate. So the case was closed for about 15 years. When a new, the equivalent of the coroner, decided to reopen the case because he read an article on prints and stuff, and they looked at the sofa. And with some kind of enhanced imaging, they realized that they could read in red on the sofa 3 letters. E-N-Z. ENZ. So some speculated that maybe Antonella, as she was dying, she tried to write in her own blood the name of her killer. So that would have been Vincenzo, because he was known as Enzo. He was then arrested. Then they did more investigations. It turned up that Enzo had an affair. Now, Antonella was not the type of lady that would have let this go. She was a strong lady, and it turned up that a lot of the money in this relationship actually came from Antonella. The very clinic in which Enzo worked as a cardiologist was it actually belonged to Antonella's uncle. And a coincidence probably, but a month and a half later, after her death, after her passing, Giuseppe, her dad, died. Cardiac issues. Guess who was his cardiologist? Dr. Vincente, Enzo. And then her uncle also died, cardiac problems as well. Guess who was his cardiologist? Vincenzo. And there was not enough evidence, though. They couldn't find anything to prove. They could not even prove that she would have been well enough to try writing her name. So eventually he was acquitted. And he's now, I think he's still today, he remarried, he had some more kids, and he's still today managing a hospital in Taormina, so that just a bit up north, like an hour north on the coast. So we will never know. And interesting murder mystery with all the type of plot of an Agatha Christie, really. Anyway, we are now in Piazza Duomo, and more music. I'm probably going to end up with a copyright claim, but hey ho, let's see how it happened. So this, by the way, this is the cathedral of Catania. After Santa Agata, you'll see a lot of representation on buildings dedicated to Saint Agata. Agata, you know what, I'll tell you a bit more about Agata as we go, because I don't want to stay too long next to the music. And this is the city hall here. And let's go and take a look at the elephants. This elephant is quite interesting. It's made out of lava from the Etna. So that's quite cool. That's from the 18th century. But we think people in Catania might have been somehow worshipping some kind of an elephant for centuries. It's still very much mysterious, but we had very many different civilizations that took Sicily, about 12 to be precise. So that's why some people call Sicily the Museum of Europe. And at some point it was under the Arabs. And one of those Arabs became an amazing cartographer. One of the first maps of the Mediterranean was made by a gentleman called Mohammed Al-Izidri, I think it was. Mohammed Al-Izidri. And he was a great researcher. And in one of his maps, he actually claimed that people of Catania were worshipping an elephant already. They believed that the elephant had the power to protect them against Etna and to let them know when an eruption came. Because of course, in such a volcanic location, the volcano has done over the centuries quite a bit of damage, as you can imagine. It reminds you of the Bernighi's elephant in Rome. I don't think I remember that elephant. I've been to Rome, but I don't remember the Bernini's. Anyway, this is a beautiful fountain here. This water is actually from an underground river. It's called the Amenano River, and it's no longer visible today because after the eruption at the end of the 17th century, 1693 to be precise, I think it was, part of the river was covered by the lava. So The river is still running today, but underground. And there's a restaurant actually where you can go and you can actually dine right next to the underground river in some kind of a natural cave. I might try to go tomorrow. I don't think you can access if you don't have lunch or dinner or anything, but I might try to see if I can just go take a quick look or take a coffee. We'll see. The elephant in Rome is very cute. I don't remember seeing it. Maybe I didn't see it at all. Who knows? Anyway, I was going to tell you about Santa Agata. Agata, she was a lady that... well, she was close to a Roman prefect, Quintianus. That's a horrible name. It finishes by anus, Quintianus. Anyway, Quintianus was in love with Agata, and she rejected him, and he martyred her. He martyred her for 3 days. He killed her. So that's a little legend, of course. The gods or fate turned around him. Uranus as well, yes. Everything finishing by anus is not... Well, anyway. So, yeah, apparently the legend said that his horse kicked him in the river and he was never seen again. And Agata became the patron saint of Catania. You see Agata everywhere. I'll do a little video as well, so I'll probably show you some representation of Agata. She's now the protector, the saint protector of the city, and she's also protecting the city against Etna, so against the volcano, like the elephant basically. We used to have, of course, medieval walls, so those walls also have protected the city a few times, but sometimes it's not enough. In the eruption of the late, oh God, there's music everywhere here. In the eruption of the late 17th century, I think it's 60,000 people that died. Anyway, let me get away from the music. Music could be okay. I could have a claim, which means that the little revenue from the video would have to go to the artist, which is unfair, but hey ho. But if you have a strike, it can be a bit of a problem because they could ban me from streaming for 90 days, I think. So that's why whenever I see music, I try to run away. The umbrellas remind you of York. Well, there are so many cities now doing those beautiful umbrellas. They're trying to make their streets very much Instagrammable. By the way, I'm showing you the nice parts of Catania. I know sometimes people watch my tours and they use them to get inspired. Let's say that it's not nice everywhere. This morning I was like, God, where did I end up? The beach is not nice. It's full of plastic bottles, rubbish. Yeah, there are parts of the city that are also a little bit run down, let's say. I'll show you in my video. I'll do an honest video and I'll show you the other side of Catania. Anyway, so this city is actually very old. It's about 800 years before Christ. And we had so many civilizations that came here. It started with the Greeks, the Naxos people. So we're facing the Ionian Sea. And it's actually part of the Greek mythology. Oh, now there's more music here. Oh, well, let's do this. Let's go anyway. And actually, Odysseus, they said that the Cyclops, they created some of the landscape here, those very volcanic rocks that you find on the coastline. And you had the Byzantine, you had some Roman slaves actually that escaped and took the city. You had some, you had the Arabs. And then in the 1060s, you had the Normans. Now, the Norman invasion here, that was actually a very romantic story. In 1061, there's a young man, Roger, because he was a Norman, Roger Hauteville. Roger was in Normandy, and he was in love with a young girl called Judith. Judith's dad was he was from high society. He was a good friend of Guillaume the Bastard. Guillaume the Bastard, you might know him under the name William the Conqueror. I didn't say a naughty word, by the way. At the time, he was known as Guillaume the Bastard. So Roger, of course, he wanted to marry Judith. But her dad said no. He didn't want to have anything to do with him. He said he was too poor. And he couldn't pay the dowry, you know. So Roger decided to do something, you know, to impress Judith's dad. So he decided to come and take over Sicily. Now, the Normans, they had already taken some part of Italy. Calabria was already conquered by Robert. He was actually Roger's brother. So to impress his future father-in-law, he decided to conquer here, to take Sicily from the Arabs. And guess what? He managed. Suzanne was a bastard because his parents were not married. Not because he was horrible, but at the time, you know, it was quite rare for anyone that was illegitimate to have titles. Although the Normans, they were not really, they had become French, but they were not really French originally. You know, they were Vikings, so they had their own way of doing things. They had been settled in France for about 200 years, but they still had some quite different ways. And Roger decided to take over Sicily, and he managed. Actually, there's one battle in the middle of the island when he was taken by the Arabs, and he very bravely went through. He escaped through the lines of the enemy. That very much impressed his men. And when he took over, so he basically, over 3 decades, he managed to unite all southern Italy, because the land that was conquered by his brother Robert, when Robert died, it became part of Roger's territory. The Pope actually named him a count. Again, count like Dracula, not a naughty word. And he became the Great Count, and really it's thanks to Roger that southern Italy was unified for the first time. And more music, God. Well, there's nothing I can do, let's go. If I have to remove the video, I will remove it, so make sure you watch it soon. Anyway, this is quite a cute part of town here, very colorful. And so that's we had the Normans. Then it actually became part of the crown of Aragon at some point, so the Spanish. So quite a few people and civilization came over here, and that's why you've got a lot of amazing influences in the food, in the architecture, in everything really. The food, if you do come here, what you want to try, it's the arancino, those little rice balls. And they do a lot of pistachio stuff, because they do have pistachios plantations here. The soil from the lava, the soil from the Etna, is very fertile. So they have a lot of lemon as well. And they do some almond granitas. Apparently, I need to try before I go. It's not really like an ice cream, because there's no cream. It's basically almond granita. So that's the main food item you have to try. Anyway, I said I would tell you a bit more about the mafia. There's much more to Sicily than the mafia, but yeah. And I think someone asked, was Dr. Morici part of the mafia? Not that we know of, no. But you know, the mafia, they've got something called omerta, so they would, you know, never admit basically. So the mafia first here, they wouldn't call it the mafia. They would call it Cosa Nostra. So Cosa Nostra, our thing, our thing, yeah, like our secret, basically. Mafia, it's actually from an Arabic term, it means protection. And to tell you a bit more about how it started here, this is the Ursino Castle, by the way. Ursino like a bear, so the bear castle. It's from the 17th century. Yes, exactly, Suzanne, Cosa Nostra. The thing with the mafia, you'd have to go back to the middle part of the 19th century, you know, like the 1850s, when you know, we went from a feudal state pretty much all across Europe. Those land that used to belong to barons or nobility, they suddenly become sold to peasants. So normal people could suddenly have some land to cultivate. But the thing is, some of those goods were very expensive, you know, pistachios or lemon or whatever they used to grow. And those little peasants, they couldn't protect their land from theft, you know. So they started to hire some gunmen, so some kind of private securities that would work for them as protector of their land to avoid anyone stealing the lemon. And eventually those armed men, they started to work together with those guns, of course, to their own advantage. So they created a mini society, a secret society that basically ruled the land. Everyone had to give them part of their lemon. Lemons were already exported to New York, you know, it was already big business. And that's basically how the mafia started. And of course it's bad, but it's not all bad. As we mentioned very quickly earlier, through the Second World War, well, just before, the fascist state, they tried to completely eliminate the mafia. Because the mafia, of course, has some friends in high places, you know, so it's hard to control them. So the fascists had tried. So later on, when the Allies asked the mafia for help, they helped. And there were a lot of the mafiosos. They emigrated to New York, you know, because a lot of them had to leave Sicily at some point. So that's how it started in the USA as well, because a lot of them had immigrated, and of course they stayed mafioso when they got there. And I'm gonna turn around to give you another view of the castle. So the castle, it's now a museum. It's not a museum I've visited quite yet, but hopefully I'll be going tomorrow, if I have time. So the Ursino Castle. Cool. So guys, that's gonna be the end of the tour. Let me know if you have any questions before we go. And now finally there's no music when it's time to say bye. I was gonna try to. I would have loved to go up the Mount Etna. There's actually a train that goes all around the volcano, but it's just too long. It's one of those very slow trains where you can enjoy the view, but I would take 6 hours the full way and then the way back. So I just don't have that time. Grazie mille. Thanks Gemma. Thanks Tish. Thanks Hélène. Thank you Natasha. So yeah, beautiful city center. But and if any of you were to visit Catania, if you fly in, whatever you think, do not walk from the airport. It's actually, well, you know what? Luckily I didn't have to walk too far last night because I booked a hotel right next to the airport. Because I read, according to some British newspaper, Catania is the most dangerous street in Europe. Dangerous in terms of people nicking your bag. There's a lot of moped crimes apparently. So because I was gonna walk 1 hour through the night, like at 2 a.m., and then I thought, oh, I might as well stay there for £7 more, and actually it would have been very dangerous anyway. A lot of the roads there, there's no pavement, there's no sidewalks at all, so you literally have to walk on the street, and it's actually very dangerous. Even this morning when I did the rest of the walk, it just like I felt so uncomfortable. I was literally in the middle of the road. So tomorrow I'll actually take a bus to the airport. I could walk it, but no. So yeah, if you look at the map and you think, oh, it's very close, you could walk it in 50 minutes. But no, don't do that. And it's not the best area anyway. It's yeah, I don't know why, because it's such a beautiful city, but there's a lot of bins everywhere. As soon as you go out of town, it's really not that nice anymore. You don't need me to turn into one of my horror stories. Yeah. Well, I've played it safe. That's why I stayed there. I only had to walk less than 20 minutes last night. So yeah. Roberta, yeah. Well, at least, you know what? It feels good to be back in Europe, because at least I can find some murders. Because it's actually very difficult to organize a tour in the Emirates. Because, well, we don't have the full freedom of speech. And also, it's not that there's no murders, but they don't publish them. They don't do any bad publicity in the UAE. So there's not much I could talk to you about, because I cannot talk about anything controversial. There's no murders. Well, at least they pretend there are none. So it's nice to be back in Europe. So at least I can talk about whatever I want, and I can find some interesting murder cases. Cool. If any of you left me a little tip on Buy Me a Coffee or on PayPal, you very much appreciate it. And if I don't say thank you on Buy Me a Coffee straight away, it's because I don't open it when I'm on Wi-Fi. It's the type of thing you don't want to, when I get hacked. So when I'm abroad, if I don't say thank you straight away, it's just because I'm waiting to have my own internet. Cool. Let me see if I've missed any questions. I don't think so. Yes, I'll hang into my gimbal. They've not seen, you know what, I got so many funny looks this morning filming around for a video. I think they don't see that many gimbals around here. Anyway, yeah, if you want to see a bit more of Catania, I've actually been up north today. I went to a Norman castle. So if you want to see a bit more, look out for my video. I'll be publishing it in the next week or so. Anyway, I don't see any more questions, so I'm gonna let you go. Have a good evening, a good morning, whatever time it is for you, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.